G'day guys, my name's Zoe. This is a bit of a new video for me, new video style. So this is Brolga. He is a 4-year-old unhandled Brumby Stallion. He arrived yesterday on the truck and we're going to be doing a video series on how we go from a completely unhandled horse to something that's ideally quiet and broken in. It is an unpredictable thing because we don't know this horse very well, we don't know his history, we don't know what's going on, but as you can see, he's got a mate here, he's eating, he's pretty happy, he's pretty quiet. Spent a little bit of time with him yesterday, just being around the outside of the pen, just talking to him, not really giving too much notice of him, leading the pony around, putting hay out and stuff, just being around him, letting him know that we're not worried. So the only handling this horse has had was, which was getting captured by Parks, moved from Parks to the place that we got him from, and then trucked from the place we got him home to here. So he's never been touched, he's never been halted, he's probably only really seen people the last couple of weeks, and even then everything he's had to deal with people has probably been very stressful. Before I got into agriculture, I was training horses for a lot of really high level riders like Natalie Blundell, Megan Jones and Manolo Mendez. I've used and learnt different methods from a lot of different riders to kind of get the methods that I want to do. A lot of my work is based around Manolo Mendez, a phenomenal horseman if you ever get the chance to meet him, work with him, or even learn about his stuff online. So a lot of my methods work with him it's learning about how a horse is structured, how their biomechanics work, how physically they develop, the difference in breeds and how they work, how their skeletal system is developed, how their muscles are developed. Understanding that in a horse, that we can understand each horse individually and then work with them to get the best out of their abilities. Manolo's methods are a lot more in the future. However, the methods that I'm going to be using now I've derived from a low stress stock handling course that I did with a fella named Bruce over in Western Australia. And we mainly use it for sheep and we mainly use it for cattle. However, it's been something that I've seen effectively used on absolutely crazy scrub bulls and bush cows and all this stuff that have been brought in. I've done it with them and it's worked. That's the whole idea of it. It's understanding how an animal's brain functions, and it's using pressure release with our body to be able to get this animal to understand that we're not a threat. It's about moving in parallel lines rather than as a predator, we're moving with them. So that's another thing we're going to be working with and I'll be explaining. Now, the one thing I want people to keep an open mind of is not everything I do will be what everyone else does. These are methods that I've developed from other riders and other trainers and other people that I find is effective. And although you may not like a trainer, it's not a bad thing to be able to go, actually that's a really good idea. So that's what I want you to keep an open mind is you may not like everything that I do for whatever reason. However, take little bits. And that's what developing your own technique is taking your own experiences from every person that you work with or watch, and developing your own theory that you think will work best for yourself and your horse. So a few things we're going to be mainly focusing on with this horse. We're going to be using a little bit of clicker training. Now I don't want to be associated as a clicker trainer because I find they're a little bit too obsessed with it. We're going to be using it to just associate with a good behavior for him to understand this works well. I use it with all my dogs. I think it's a fantastic method if used correctly, used in moderation. A lot of the high-end, the military dogs and a lot of people like that use it, so it's an effective method. And I'll explain in another video how this works, how the clicker works, and how we can make animals understand that. But that's another video. So I'm going to be using that. I'm going to be using the physical pressure release. And we're going to use a lot of different horseman methods, again from Manolo Mendez, and a few other methods that I've picked up from a few smaller trainers and local stockmen that I've worked with around Australia that have taught me different methods. So this is the introduction. I'm really excited for everyone to kind of be following this journey. I'm hoping that there's people that might be struggling with their Brumbies or struggling with unhandled horses, not sure where to start. So this is the method I'm using. I'm treating this animal like he's stock rather than a horse, and I think that's one thing we have to remember. This animal is wild, he thinks like a wild animal, he thinks like he has to survive. If this horse makes stupid mistakes, he dies. If you have horses that have been born and coddled and put in a paddock and never had to deal with worried about getting eaten, and they'll run through a fence and they're like, let's cut all my tendons up. If he does that, he dies. And he needs to think about things. And here's a video of him coming off the truck when he arrived, and you can see him thinking. processing what's going on, understanding the situation. And that's the thing, that's why a lot of people who have Brumbies go back to Brumbies, because they have that survival instinct where the stupid choices that a lot of domesticated horses make just aren't relevant to him, because he needs to survive. We're going to get started today. We're going to be using a few different methods. This is day one, realistically. As much as he arrived yesterday, this is day one. But I'm very excited to get started with him. I'm going to let him finish his breakfast. I'm going to throw him out some more hay, let him settle in a little bit more, and then we'll get going. So first things first, I'm going to apologise for any mess that kind of seems around. We bought this place about 2 years ago and it was an absolute dump when we bought it. And we've just spent the last 2 years trying to clean up. So unfortunately with this market, you can't be picky with what you get. So I went to a place the other day and I went and picked up some cheap stuff for him. I bought a cheap web halter. This is about 12 bucks and this is about $10, I think. The reason I'm using something a little bit more fragile is because once this is on him, it's going to stay on him. Obviously he's in the yards. If something gets caught up, he can break it if he tries hard enough. So that's why we're using this. I'm not using a rope halter or PVC or leather or anything. We're using just a cheap nylon one and a cheap lead rope, because if it gets broken, it's not the end of the world, and I want to make sure that if push comes to shove, he's safe at the end of the day. It's not hard to chuck another halter on him. I also went and bought some cheap brushes as well. I want these to kind of stay down here. Now what I did before, I've taken these off now, but these were sitting with him while he was eating his hay, so he can start to sniff them and get used to it. So instead of me just going straight up to him and being like, here, let me put this on your head, he's aware of what this is, he's sniffed it, he's kind of sussed out what it is in his own time. And same with the brushes. So we don't know this horse very well. He's welcome to smell me if he wants, but we need to be mindful that wild horses, if put in a situation, they will charge and they will try to hurt you. He's got a lot of space to get away from me right now, but there's food involved, and again, we want to make sure we don't put this horse in a situation where he's going to fail. We want to make sure he's always in a situation where he's doing the right thing. So even if at the moment all we do is feed this pony next to him while he eats, he's here. I'm talking, I'm not acting quiet, I'm obviously talking to you guys. I've got a lead rope and rope in my hands, and I'm just feeding this little pony just handfuls of chaff that I've got in my pocket. Good stuff. I'm going to see if he'll come down and meet me. Taking feed out of your hand is a massive step. We never want to completely kneel on the ground. We want to make sure that we're good to go if need be. We can get up pretty quick. So he's welcome to smell me. Good boy. And take that feed out of my hand. And now once he's done it, I'm just going to pull away. I'm not going to react. You're a duffer. I'm not going to react. I'm not going to carry on. I'm going to move that back towards him. But look, he's comfortable. He's still young though, so we've got him at a stage in his life where he's smart about it. Again, if we didn't have this pony here, we would have huge problems. We wouldn't have as good of an effect on this horse as what we do at the moment. But we've got a friend here. Horses are very trusting, and they've got a lot more herd instincts than what your domesticated horses will. So he's quite trusting of us because there's a horse that's trusting in us. If she was freaking out, she didn't want to come near us, he wouldn't want a bar of us. G'day Brolga. But he sniffed me. Like, I'm not going to keep forcing him. He's welcome to come to me. I'm not going to keep asking him to come to me. He can come to me when he wants to. And for the time being, that's what we want. This is the first day that I've worked with him. And he's ultimately eaten chaff out of my hands. There's different options though. He might not want to eat it out of my hands right now because there's a little bit left in this bucket. We're talking. We don't want to be silent either. We want to make sure that the horse is used to our presence. Good boy. That's it. It's exciting, don't get me wrong. Like, I'd love to be able to jump up and down and be like, oh my God, this is amazing. But we're not. G'day now. Give a little bit to the pony too. Now he's moved away, so I'm going to move away. I'm going to hop up quietly and I'm going to shift away. Food and horses are the only way that you're going to communicate with this animal at the moment, is making you a food source and making the pony help you out with that. And that's where we're at the moment, is creating a food. Sorry, this is a weird angle. You're the food source, so you're the good reinforcement. Later on down the track, we can start putting pressure on him, but we won't want to, because at the moment, all we want is to set this horse up to succeed We never want to put them in a situation where they fail. And it's the same with dogs and kids and things like that. If you're educating something to start off with, never set them, realistically ever, you never want to set things up to fail. You want to set them up to succeed. It's like overfacing a horse and it jumps and it stops. It's going to come back and you're going to have to fix those problems. Whereas if you work them up, you're probably not going to have that issue. Don't set your horses up to fail, set them up to succeed, and you'll have less issues to deal with. So awesome first day, super happy with that, couldn't ask for much more, to be honest. He's a lot quieter than what I expected him to be, which is phenomenal. The pony definitely helps, without a doubt. So yours might not be this quiet. I've had unhandled horses and domesticated horses that have been worse than this. So just be aware that your horse might not be this quiet, and you should take every day as it comes. So just because by day 2 or 3 I'm doing certain things doesn't mean you should be. But this series is going to be awesome. I'm so excited. Things like dentistry and picking up feet and rugging and the whole process is going to be done. So I'm really excited to keep up to date with it. Make sure you guys keep on top of me so I don't forget. But huge achievement today. Absolutely phenomenal. Loving it. So excited for tomorrow. So I'm really keen to get this horse going. Like, oh, it's really good. So anyway, thanks for following the journey, and yeah, day 2 tomorrow.